Hello, my name is Jimmy Vegas and welcome to this, the 11th in a series of video tutorials on how to create a Super Mario game in Unity 5. So this episode we're going to cover a couple of things. Firstly, we're going to be dealing with our coins down here. If you remember, we can collect them, but there's no sound, so we'll be putting that in. Next, we'll be putting some music into our game, so as we're playing, we have some music. And lastly, what we'll be doing is we'll be creating our first enemy, which will keep moving between these two pipes just here. And we'll also be creating a script where we can jump on the enemy and crush it and make it disappear. So firstly, let's go into our audio folder, into FX, and let's bring in this coin audio file straight into Unity. Now, as always, you can head over to our website and download this for free. So go to the Downloads and Assets section, click on the Super Mario page, and just scroll down and it's there under episode 11. So what we're going to need to do is we need to go to our main camera and audio, and we have pipe entry there. So I'm going to hold Control and press D to duplicate, right click and rename, and I'm going to call this Coin Collect, and then simply drag and drop this coin audio over here, replacing this down pipe audio. Simple as that. So the next thing we need to do is we need to make a script which allows that sound to play as soon as we collect our coin. So let's head to our scripts and let's go to the coin pickup script that we wrote a couple of tutorials ago. So we will be putting in a variable within this script, because don't forget we need to actually reference this object that we've now created the sound on. So when Mono Developer's loaded or Visual Studio, what you'll need to do is before the function, we need to put var, let's put coin audio, and that will be of type audio source, semicolon. And then in the middle of the line, just above the global coins.coin count line, you need to put coin audio dot play, open close bracket, semicolon, and save. To remember, the play there is a capital P. Back into Unity, and let's head to our coins. So let's select the first coin. And what we can do is, rather than do it one by one, the great thing about this is if you select all coins in the hierarchy, you'll see that the script over here still remains. So you can bring in the audio source file at once. So drag and drop coin collect onto coin audio, and it will do all 6 coins or however many coins you have all at once. So I'm going to save that, press play, and let's head over here, down the pipe, and we should hear the, yep, one thing I noticed there, my fault, I actually have this on the secondary camera. So at this point, the secondary camera is activated. So we just need to take this and bring it to our secondary camera. So can't quite remember what it's called. So let's use the search function in the hierarchy. Let's type in cam, and you'll have first pipe camera there. So what we can do is we can, yep, that's fine. So we have audio there. So let's duplicate coin collect, and let's drag it all the way down to that secondary camera. Now the reason it failed the first time is because it's trying to play the source, the audio, from an object which is actually disabled. So we'll just need to quickly review what we've done by clicking all our coins again and drag and drop this one that we have duplicated over here. So just to reiterate, the reason it's failed is because when we go down the pipe, we actually set our third person, the main camera as inactive, and the active camera is now the first pipe camera. So it was effectively trying to play audio from something which it couldn't really read. So now, because the first pipe camera will be the active camera, it will play the audio when we collect these coins. So we go over onto our pipe, Down we go. And we should hear it now. There we go. So there is our pipe music. Now what we'll do is our main camera, audio, right click, create empty, and I'm going to call this Overworld. And I'm going to go back to my audio folder down here, right click, create folder. I'm going to call this just music. And I'm going to bring in this, it's called jvtheme.mp3. It's just a quick, simple song that I've composed in a program called FL Studio. I'm not going to go into FL Studio too much. It's not worth it. But if you bring that in to Unity, there we go. So it's in. All you need to do is drag and drop that onto Overworld. And make sure you do have Play on Awake ticked. So at this point, you can use any audio file you want. If you want to download this, you can head to the website. For now, I'm going to reduce the volume here to 0.5 just to see what it sounds like when we press play. Okay, so that's fine. Down the pipe. And it stops as we go into the underworld. And then starts again as we come up, as it would do in actual Mario games. Okay, so that's the basics of having music in your world. It could do with reducing the sound a little, so let's put it at 0.2 and let's see how that sounds. Yeah, it needs to be a bit quieter again, so 0.05 maybe. That's better. So audio in Unity can be quite fiddly to get just right with the volume. It can be very sensitive or it can be virtually non-existent. It's just a case of playing around with it to see what you come up with. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to go to in this tutorial, as I say, is an enemy which will continually move between these two pipes just here. Now I'm hoping this tutorial doesn't go on for too long, but essentially I do want to get this done in this tutorial. So first and foremost, I'm going to go to my assets and let me see, I'm going to create a new folder, create folder, and I'm going to call this objects. And in this folder, I'm going to drag and drop this mushroom folder, which again you can get on our website for free. All it is just a mock-up of a mushroom rather than a mushroom man from Super Mario. I can't use that for legal reasons, as I've explained. But instead, we'll use something which kind of is somewhat similar. So firstly, what we need to do is we need to add the mushroom to our scene. So this mushroom, drag and drop, I think it is going to be quite large, so we'll reduce the scale to 0.02, 0.02 and 0.02. I'm going to change the position to 0, 0, 0. And let's focus on the mushroom, which is there. Now let's bring it up and put it into position that we want. So I'm going to drag it over here to about there. And I'm going to rotate, let's see, oops, I think what x-axis is going to be. So it's going to be 270 degrees to get it upright. And I'm going to rotate on the y by 180. You'll see why in just a second. So let's bring it so as it's center of our walkway. So we just need to bring it about there. That looks fine. And next thing we need to do is we need to add the texture or material to it. So if, in the hierarchy, if you click the little arrow, click on cylinder 01, then click on the arrow where it's got cylinder 01 matte, and then drag and drop this texture into your albedo. Plain and simple. And there we go. It's not the best looking mushroom I've ever seen, I'll be honest, but it serves a purpose of showing you exactly what we're going for here. There are models of the actual mushroom men around on the internet, but again, I can't tell you where to get them. So I'm just using this mock-up for now. So the next thing we're going to need to do is we need to create an actual cube, which is going to be the basis for using our mushroom. So game object, 3D object. In fact, no, do you know what? We'll do something slightly different. We'll go to mushroom, right click, and 3D object and cube. And then we'll drag and drop this cube out of the mushroom. So just put it there. And in fact, no, we'll put it back in the mushroom because we need to... Sorry, no, we've already zeroed out the position. And then change the scale to 1 by 1 by 1. And it should put that right there. So let's drag this cube up to about there. I think we do need to reduce our mushroom size a little bit. He's a bit big there. So I'm going to put 0.01, 0.01, and 0.01. Okay, so he looks a bit better now. So cube, I'm going to right click, rename. I'm going to call this Mushroom Man 001. And next thing I'm going to need to do is drag and drop my mushroom onto Mushroom Man 001. And then finally on Mushroom Man 001, remove the mesh. So next we need to write a script which will allow this mushroom to move back and forth. We're not going to use animation simply because the use of this script that we're going to write is going to be useful for other things later on in the game. Using animation on this particular one means creating multiple animations and using more resources. So I'm not going to do that. We're going to do it via scripting. So head to scripts, right click, create, script, and let's call this Mushroom Man Move. And open that up in your MonoDevelop or Visual Studio. We're going to be doing 3 variables. Firstly, we need to set its furthest left point. We also need to set the furthest right point, and we also need to set a direction of our Mushroom Man. So firstly, get rid of everything there, and let's do var left point. That will be of type float. And I'm going to put equals 0 for now, and then semicolon. I'm going to do var right point, and that will be of type float 2, also equal to 0 for now. And finally, var direction. That will be an integer, int, and I'll make that equal to 1, semicolon. Okay, so let's figure out these 0 values just here. What we need to do is we need to set a value of how far our Mushroom Man can go. So if we drag our Mushroom Man cube all the way to about there, you'll see that the position on the X is 13. So you put your Mushroom Man as far to the pipe as you can, and then remember that number, 13. That needs to go in your left point float, so 13. So we're saying that's as far left as our object can go. Then, obviously, do the complete opposite. You need to find out what the figure is going to be here. So in this case, it's 28. So we're going to move the mushroom back there. So we need to put our right point as 28. Now we're going to write a function, real simple, just a function update. It's got a few ifs, just stating a few different things, but there's nothing too tricky about it. So let's start with function update, open close bracket, open curly bracket. If direction equals, sorry, it's double equals, my apologies, equals 1, close bracket, open curly bracket, then what we're going to do is we need to transform dot translate in brackets vector 3 dot right multiply, or rather star. I'm going to put the number 2 here. I'll quickly go through this at the end of the tutorial just so you get a bit more insight as to what's going on, but you'll see what it's for later. Star, and then time dot delta time, comma, space dot world, close bracket, semicolon. And this isn't exactly necessary, but I'm going to put this in here just to make double sure that this is working. Direction equals 1, semicolon. Next line down, close curly bracket. So what we're doing here is if direction is 1, then move our object to the right. Now the reason we've got 2 there is because that is a speed. So we are definitely moving right. Now the next line, what we're going to be putting is another if, but this time we're checking if our transform position, so our x position, is greater than the right point. So nice and simple, all we do is if, open bracket, this dot transform dot position, dot x is greater than right point, close bracket, open curly bracket. All we need to do is direction equals 2, semicolon, close bracket. So what we're doing is if our mushroom has gone past the point of 28, so it's higher than 28, it will set the direction as 2. And then what we can do is we can copy and paste these few lines of code, the first one we wrote, and change it a little bit. So instead of if direction equals 1, we change that to if direction equals 2. Transform.translate vector3.write here, put a -2. The reason I do that is because I like to keep things uniform. We've got always going right there, and we've got always going right here, but theoretically we're going right in a minus, which is a left. Feel free to change anything of this if you want to, but this is the way I'm going to do it for now. You still will end up with the same results. And the let me see, what else do we need to do here? Yeah, that's fine. I think we've got that right. So the next if we need is this one again. So if we copy this and repeat that line of code, and instead of having greater than, put less than, and you now need to put here left point, and then put direction equals 1. And then finally, just need to close off with a curly bracket. So we just need to quickly double check everything, that we've got everything just right here. So what we're doing is we're checking if the direction is 1, and if direction is 1, it means we're moving right. If we get to the point where we're past our right point, our furthest right point, we change the direction to 2. But then we have an if statement. If the direction is equal to 2, then we are going left, like so. And then if we've gone past the left point, we change it to 1, which means we're going right again. So we just need to save and then head back to Unity. Let Unity think for a second. Shouldn't have any problems. And then we need to drag and drop Mushroom Man onto there, and that looks just fine. So now when we press play and head over, we should see our mushroom is working just nicely. There we go. And just to check, he moves back.